I think collectively we need to acknowledge most of us are not going to the Olympics. And I want to preface this, I want you to listen to the story because I think it's going to give you a message in terms of how to deal with yourself and treat yourself, which I think sometimes how we treat ourselves is a reflection of how we treat other people. So a few years ago, I used to work out, and one of the people that I still work out today, but one of the people that I was working out with would race really hard back and forth and go as hard as they possibly can. And that was wonderful. I love that. I love that sort of competition and racing with them. But then at the end of it, if this person didn't meet the time trials that he was thinking in his head, he would beat himself up. He would get very aggressive inside, and there would just be a lot of self-hatred that was going on. And you could see that inside as this person was dealing with all of the emotions of not winning. And eventually, after months and months and months of seeing this, I eventually just said, hey, listen, we're not going to the Olympics here. We're just having some fun. Let's work on having some fun. Let's figure out a way so that we can have some fun while doing this. Now, when I said that, we're not going to the Olympics here, there was a tremendous amount of relief that came off, a lot of emotion. It was really, I think back and I reflect on that. I was like, oh my gosh, like that really impacted. And now what I want everybody to sort of think about, why I wanted to say this. And it turns out it was just a lot of relief, that like just a lot that came off. I just want you to know that most of us are not going to the Olympics. I know that this is, you don't want to hear that. And I know that a lot of parents are going to be like, but listen to what I'm trying to say is that we need to develop, in order for us to sustain at something, we need to acknowledge that most of us are not going to go to the Olympics. It is a hard journey. And generally what you will see is there is a lot of talent very early on, but it's not only just talent, right? Like somebody is spectacularly athletic, but it's not just that, but it's also that working really hard. But then it's not just that, it's this whole team around you of family and friends and people that are trying to keep you going, that are going to take you to different practices, find the right coaches, do all of those kind of things. And then at that point, you may, and it's very highly unlikely, have a shot of trying out for the Olympic team. And I want you to sort of reflect on all of what this actually says. And your odds of actually having this happen and everything work out is very slim for most of us. So we need to acknowledge that almost all of the things that we do, we are not going to go to the Olympics. Everything in our life, we're not going to be number one. We're not going to make it to the world stage. But the fact that we're not going to make it to the world stage should not deter you from living a wonderful life, where you need to realize that you get enjoyment out of the thing that you're doing. It's not about the competition. It's not about getting to number one. That number one is elusive. Once you get there, then you're going to want to be the next number one. You're going to want to do all these kind of things. And once you get there, this is what happens to almost every Olympic athlete and everybody that goes through this, right? You go through it and you get to the number one, and then you're done at the age of 25, and you have to figure out, what the hell am I going to do with the rest of my life? I still have 50 more years or 100 more years of doing something with my life. And I defined myself from getting to the Olympics, and now I actually made it, and now I'm part of the Olympics. This story is true of many of us. We've all gone through, and we've all done our Olympics, and then we have to figure out, what is it that we are about? And part of knowing what it is that we're about, we have to acknowledge it's not about going to the Olympics. None of this actually is, right? Like, if you get to the Olympics, that's kind of like an icing on the cake. But it's about just enjoying the process of everything that you do. And so that you wake up and you're excited to put in the work. You're excited to do all of the difficult things that you need to do. And you want to actually do this. And sometimes it just means, how do I frame this problem that I'm working on? How is it that I look at this thing? So instead of thinking like, if I don't get this faster race time today, then I'm going to beat myself up, I say, this is amazing. I'm the only one out here. I'm having a great time. How do I make sure that other people around me and myself are having a great time while I'm actually doing this? Right. I want you to sort of change this conversation where you're reflecting on yourself and you're saying, I'm doing okay. And as I do okay, my dogs just came in, they're licking. You can hear them. But as I do okay and I have fun, that's what this is all about. And so what's going to happen is that it's going to have this huge amount of release as you start realizing we're not going to the Olympics here. Our odds of actually getting the Olympics is impossible. But if I could do this and have fun and show up and love this thing, what's going to happen is that I'm going to be more likely to show up, then I'm going to be more likely to actually get into the Olympics because I'm going to have a good time while I'm doing it. But realistically, most of us are just not talented to get into the Olympics. We just don't have the skill set because that's an unusual, weird skill set. I want you to think about human beings, right? That we have all sorts of wonderful things that are going on in our life, but one person's going to be enormously good at one thing. Maybe some of us are not good at anything, but we're good at all sorts of things. But to be good at just one thing, that's highly unusual. In my family, we call that weird, right? Like, that is really, really strange that somebody is really good at one thing. And at world stage, there's probably, realistically, I hate to say this, they're genetic abnormality, right? Like they're off the charts on something. They're really strange. So I want you to reflect on that. To be a regular human being, most of us are not going to the Olympics, but that does not preclude, that doesn't stop you from trying to get out there and enjoying the whole process, right? That's where you just change the conversation that's going on in your head and you say, I'm going to get up here, I'm going to find my thing. I'm going to find my thing where I am just going to have a good time while I'm doing this and love myself while I'm doing this and love everybody else and cheer everybody else on, because somebody on the team around us might be that genetic abnormality that may go to the Olympics, and I'm going to actually help them to get there because I'm actually going to race with them and I'm actually going to try to work at this thing. So I want you to take a step back, realize most of us are not going to the Olympics, and that is amazing, right? Like, I want you to think about that. That is amazing. We're not going to the Olympics. That means that you're completely normal. You're not that genetic abnormality, and you don't have to go through all of that stuff. But it doesn't mean that you don't try. It doesn't mean that you don't get up and you keep going and you do one more day and you put in all of that work. Man, that's what it all takes, no matter what. You can either think that your entire identity hinges on this one amorphous thing, and once you get there, it implodes and you stop. Or you can think, let's just have some fun. And if by chance I get to the Olympics, then that is a wonderful experience, and I'm glad to be part of that. But all of this is just a blessing because I am a genetic abnormality. So that's it. I want you to think about that. You're not going to the Olympics. Just take a universal step back and realizing your odds of that happening are slim to none, but that doesn't mean you can't actually try. That doesn't mean that you don't get up and you keep going every single day and you put in that effort. That's what it all takes anyways to get to anything. Just putting in an obscene amount of effort every day. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.